What's up, guys? This is Jakob. I'm Content AI Manager and founder of Content AI Tools. Welcome to a new episode of the Content AI Show, where I speak with experts around the world who are the master of how to create content with AI technology. And I'm excited to speak today with Bradley Chernis, who's the CEO of Lately AI, which is a cool tool. And already the interesting part of this is it has so many tools, and Lately AI is one of the first that markets also the ROI of content, which is not a big thing for many other software companies that I tested so far. But we will speak about this and also about your journey. Welcome to the show, Kate. I'm very excited to speak with you today.
That's so interesting that you're saying that. We're going to dive into that some more, and I know it's true. So thank you so much, Jakob, and hi everybody. Welcome, and hope your pre-holidays are going okay. I mean, we're all getting that feeling of the rush onto the big, to-dos, and so I feel like that the pressure of December is on me.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark, my people, what's up, Mark? So
yeah, Mark is awesome. Oh, Kate is. You know Mark. You know Mark.
Do we connect each
Angela?
other? Yeah.
Kate is
Well,
awesome.
we know each other from social. I mean, the power of being friends via likes and shares. I mean, he's
writing
the master.
great content already. Yeah, Mark is doing really cool stuff. He was also on my show more on the Web3. So I have two types of shows. One is Web3, the live show format, and this is more content AI, so AI technology that helps me to create content.
Wow.
And Mark is very involved in the Tilt community by Joe Polizzi.
For sure. Yeah, I know Joe too. We're all it's a small family, but we're mighty, mighty together. So it's cool. My brothers and sisters.
Yes, all brothers and sisters. Cool. But back to you. Okay, so I wanted to say something about the holidays. It feels like after Thanksgiving until Christmas, it's like everybody is hustling.
Yeah, right? The gas is on. Yeah, I feel that pressure too. And it's really like when I owned a marketing agency, the only time of year that I got off was when everyone else was off. It was that week between Christmas and New Year's, And I thank God there was no emails to answer.
Thank you also, Mark. Jakob is the bridge of power. Appreciate the sentence. Thank you very much. Okay, can you maybe in a nutshell describe your journey? So why is AI a big thing for you? So that would be really curious about your journey, how this evolved, and maybe there are different steps on the journey when you realize the power of AI for you, for your company. Would be just I'm just curious.
Yeah, well, so the fun part of the journey, as you were reading online, is that I used to be a rock and roll DJ, and my last gig was broadcasting to 20 million listeners a day for XM satellite radio. So that was a wild ride for sure. How I got from there to AI seems like a big old zigzag, but as my friend Chris Bro once said, really, when you look back and you're able to connect the dots, that thread is right in line, So along the way, and there's sort of interesting bridges between all, but I did own a marketing agency, and I ended up getting Walmart 130% ROI year over year for 3 years in spreadsheets. Remember those things? Hi, raise your hand if you're in spreadsheets.
Excel? You mean Excel sheet?
Excel, yeah, exactly. And at the time, the idea was, how do I help this? There were 20,000 marketers involved across for-profit, nonprofit, and government here in the U.S. And it was Walmart and Bank of America, AT&T, National Disability Institute, United Way Worldwide, and we were all working together. And I came in from Radioland. I'm not very polished, Jakob. I mean, you've known me for a few seconds, and I think you can already tell. Like, you could put a business suit on me, but like, you can't really clean me up that much, And so here I am. I waltz into this room, and everybody's kind of used to being stiff and not particularly flexible, you might say. And I was just overwhelmed with what a mess it was. Nobody seemed to understand not only what marketing was happening, but of course how it was doing, what were the results. But we couldn't even worry about the results until we understood exactly what was going on. And so I started organizing us in a spreadsheet. I did it by myself. I went home and I did this for my own mind. And then I brought it to the team. And, I think at first they were like, who is this person? Who does she think she is? But they managed to sort of get on with the program. And what I ended up doing for them was looking at this repurposing idea. If we have all these people creating content, there were thousands of people creating all kinds of content. It seemed still that it was falling through the cracks and that people still were feeling as though they didn't have enough content, but it's only because they didn't know it existed, right? Which is a common problem for companies in general. And so that idea of repurposing came about. This is before Gary Vee, by the way. Sorry, Gary, we're friends.
Sorry for interrupting, but
Yeah.
when was this process where you have this Excel sheet, this spreadsheet? When was it?
That was in like 11 or before
2011.
2010.
Okay, very early.
Yeah, like MySpace was still a thing. Twitter was just barely happening,
And Facebook grew.
Facebook was there. Nobody was really doing a lot of messaging on LinkedIn, but Twitter was really the place where we were. Twitter and Facebook were our biggest focuses at the time. And then, we were doing other marketing too. We were doing newspaper ads and radio media tours and all this other stuff. I pulled together that content as well, because in my mind, all of it could be translated into something else, So when we built Lately, this idea kind of evolved, because at first we built a platform that had a spreadsheet that matched every feature every feature that matched every spreadsheet I had built for Walmart. That was the idea. Let's bring this system together, because it was pretty big. It wasn't just, imagine, like I had a spreadsheet for every social post we ever written. I had a spreadsheet for every video anyone created, and then people repurposing the video. It was just this, I was a crazy person, OCD, right? And then I was able to, at the time, sorry, I'm going to go back this, I took the analytics and I literally drew them a graph of all the graphs on top of each other so they could see the analytics, and generally the waves and peaks all matched up, right? And we didn't need to hire some agency to analyze if it was working or not. You could see that it was working. Here's the website traffic. And then we knew it. We were trying to help people file their taxes, so we knew how many people were filing their taxes through us, right? So we could actually really measure this. With Lately, what we saw was that big kind of feature-based platform we built. There was this one feature that everybody used the most and they liked a lot, and it was the ability to take a blog at the time, push a button, and have Lately parse it up into a bunch of quotes with a link back to the full version, right? Now that was interesting, Jakob, because there's something sexy about the inside of a long form piece of content that doesn't happen often in the headline. People are bad at titling things because they do what we were all taught, title it appropriately so people know what the subject is. So for example, I'm going to pick on you today, sorry. An interview with Bradley Chernis. Nobody knows who that I am, right? So it's hard to get people to come to this, right? But instead, as you were pulling out in your LinkedIn post, like how to get a 98% sales conversion, that's interesting, right? So that was my idea. And when we saw our customers kind of coming onto this, we were able to pivot and change the product and listen. And eventually, we actually didn't know it was AI. That's not where we started. We started with this problem of like, what do I write and how do I know it's working? But we're marketers, right? So we know how to spin it. And as AI and content creation became more and more prominent, we actually realized this was what we were doing. And then we tripled down on, we now have an AI engineering team and all that kind of stuff. But one of the, and I'm sorry for vomiting. Should I stop and you can?
I will interrupt if there's a question in my head. Just don't.
Okay, good.
We're going with the flow.
You're so gracious. So, with Walmart, the idea was a blog, but then here we are into today, there's videos and podcasts and all that. So Lately quickly evolved to be able to include those pieces of content as well. How can we repurpose any kind of long form content into dozens of social posts? Now, they're not just dozens of social posts. It's social posts that contain the exact words and ideas and phrases that your specific target audience it'll make them convert, it'll make them engage, and it learns any brand voice. So it's producing content in your brand voice or in an individual voice, right? So there's a whole lot of heavy duty lifting. And that's why the results aren't just like great, they're great, right? We have 12,000% increased engagement, 98% sales conversion, 200% more leads, 84% time saved, because that's the difference between artificial intelligence and just plain old automation.
Yeah.
So one more thing that we learned, which was at the time, everything was about owned media. How can I repurpose my owned media? And then I had an idea, because as a startup entrepreneur, I don't even have time to create my own earned media. Like, I'm a great writer. I have lots of things to talk about and say, but I just don't have 4 hours to write a blog, for example, or even host my own podcast. But guess what? I'm a fun guest and I don't have to do any prep to be on the show. And what if I ask you for the file afterwards? So now I have a piece of long form content that I can run for my own AI. And guess what? I'm going to drive all the traffic back to you. I'll get 40 posts out of it. So it's a huge win for you. You get a ton of promo for me, the after the fact promo, which is way more valuable than in the moment, by the way. We know we'll get eyeballs here today. That's nice. But I care about the eyeballs later because it's exponentially greater. Yeah. So I'm going to use this content. Like, I don't care if we have 2 listeners or 20 million.
I think it's very smart, and to some degree, you're exactly doing what I'm doing manually. So after we stop the recording, I take the video file. I use an AI called Victory to create video snippets, audiograms, and what I'm doing different is I'm using automation tools to repurpose the content. So I'm saying, for example, what is your story, Kate, about AI? And then I'm uploading this video and then saying 30 days later, repurpose this, share this again on the same social media channels that I have. So that I'm filling the channels because nobody knows what I posted 30 days ago.
Right.
But I'm doing what I'm doing manually. You're doing completely with AI. So that's what I got now from your explanation. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. And also, by the way, we'll give you a transcript for all that content too. So we'll automatically transcribe the audio and the video. Then you can repurpose that into a blog. We can run the blog back through lately. And then the other, I think, really key component is, and by the way, good on you for even doing it manually, is that it's not just clipping up the video. It's clipping up the video or the audio in the places where it knows that there are the ideas and words and phrases that specifically will convert the audience you're targeting. Right.
That's really interesting. So how is it? Is that AI giving me a suggestion, or is it just I'm typing in the target audience that I want to reach out to, and this is automatically done by Lately? Or
yeah, it's even easier. So when you connect your social channels to Lately, hey Chris, we instantly will analyze everything you've published. It goes back for about a year, sometimes more in some cases, but up to a year generally. And we're looking at everything you ever published on whatever channel you've connected to lately, or as many as you like. And we can study the messaging that got you the highest clicks, comments, and shares. Now we know what that messaging is. And now we break that messaging down by word, idea, key phrases, and sentence structures. Now we have a writing model that belongs to you. It's unique to you and your voice and no one else. The writing model can be curated by you, so you can do what you said. You can give inputs and help it along. But right from the start, it's pretty smart. And then at this time, it also, again, already knows what works for you, so it can target that audience for you, right? It's very clear what it is. It has the patterns. Then you feed it the long form content, and it learns even more. The more you put in, the more you get out, and the more you train the AI, the more you spend time with it and say, ooh, AI, this was a weird thing that you pulled. Let me edit it and make it right. Or, ooh, such a good one. How about I add this hashtag here? And the AI starts to learn even faster.
That's cool. I like that. You also have scheduling. So this is also something different so far that I realized when you compare lately with other tools. So I have one tool for creating blog articles. I have one tool for creating deepfake videos. I have another tool for content automation and the distribution part. But you also you can create the content basically, also the text production, and connect your social media accounts and distribute the content, right?
Yeah, so it's a full service marketing, management, scheduling platform. And sorry for the plug for ourselves, but we also do an employee advocacy. So we have like employee advocacy. We have a feature that lets you syndicate the content you create across unlimited social channels. So that's a big thing we found with our enterprise customers is this desire, of course, for everybody to toe the company line online, but how do you get them to do it, without them kicking and screaming? You basically do it for them is what happens. So that's the service we provide as well. That's all automated.
Yeah. I'm just fascinated about the ROI thing, because this is, as a creator, it's sometimes very hard to define what is your time worth, or how do I get the return on investment. And you're basically promising it to some degree that you will get a return on investment because you know what your target audience is, right? So you can pivot the communication to target to the target audience, so that it's very clear that you reach the right people. Is that?
Yeah, and it all has to be part of a mindset shift, right? So it's not you. If you do what I tell you to do, you will see an average 84% time saved, 200 more clicks, 82% more, XYZ, whatever, a long list of good things. Now, the do what I say is this: it's a new workflow, right? So you either create content or you ask for it. It's found content. Earned media, like someone's written about you, someone has you in a show, or found content. Maybe you have a great article about marketing thought leadership you want to publish on LinkedIn or talk about on LinkedIn. So any of those kinds, you run it through Lately. You let Lately pick out 40 posts. Of the 40, you are going to just kind of workshop 20 of them. Make sure you give the AI an extra little boost and help them what works and what doesn't. You publish all 20 of those posts, and then you rinse and repeat, right? So if you do that, that's when we'll see that super high engagement. And the proof is in the pudding pretty quickly. Like, it's garbage in, garbage out, Jakob. So, I mean, if you are a terrible podcast host, I mean, I'm not going to be able to make you any better. You're not, though. You're amazing. We already know that. But like, if someone's a poor writer, for example, I'm not going to take I'm not magically going to make them any better. It just doesn't happen that way. The AI has to have a really solid stepping ground, because it's only a robot after all, But our promise is that when AI and humans pair up in this way, so when the human takes the time to help train the AI, that's when you see that super high engagement and the results that, make your eyeballs pop out.
So when you mentioned workshop the content, so this means I'm filtering and looking. I'm making basically a content audit.
Yes.
Where I'm checking, okay, what worked in the last 12 months? Where do I get the engagement?
No, it's even simpler than that. Like, so, or you can do a couple of things. Number one, whatever Lately spits out, so whatever social posts that it generates for you, look at each one of them. Now, it will do things like start with a non sequitur, for example. It might grab a sentence that has everything you like in it, everything it knows that you want or that your audience wants to read. But the sentence might start with, for example, okay? Now, you can't start a social post with, for example. That's weird. But the AI doesn't know that. So you have to tell it. You have to delete that part, and it'll start to learn, oh, maybe don't pull out stuff like this. It also will, by the way, start rearranging content for you and like do some rewriting. We just launched this feature a couple of weeks ago. So here's one of the things that I saw it do. It knows that using the word you, is generally good practice in social because it's talking to everyone as opposed to I. I is very selfish. And so I saw it like write the word you a few more times, extra times. Because it's like thinking, this is good, you. And then whatever you do, XYZ, whatever else was there. So it's trying, to learn. It just needs those guardrails from you. The other thing that you can do to sort of chime in and help it along is we surface word clouds that are the words, literally the words and ideas that your audience is liking, care, and engaging with. So you can, and lately is going to ask you, it'll say, hey, Jakob, the word human surfaced 20,000 engagements in 2 posts. Do you want us to look for more content with this idea in it? And you can say yes or no.
Yeah. It sounds that simple. That's so.
It's that simple, but the hard part. I mean, you and I were talking before we hit live here. The hard part is, it's that simple for marketers who understand that you can't wave a magic wand. Right? Magic doesn't exist. Sorry to bum everybody else out. I'm a huge Harry Potter fan, but you do have to put effort into it, and this is that human. This is what I got from radio, Jakob, right? So the reason that radio fits into my space now is my uber power was turning listeners into fans and creating this understanding that I can take you on a journey and you, the listener, feel as though you've got a voice during my show. It's a two-way conversation. Now, that's not true. I'm wielding the mic. I'm picking the songs. I'm not asking you for your opinions or to come in and tell me what songs to play or anything like that. But I got so good at it, and I was also a fiction writing major, and of course I'd written thousands of commercials for radio. So I knew also about how words translated on radio, not only words that I was saying, but words that I was writing into copy. I also ran the production department, which is like those creative drops you hear between songs that identify the station. And so theater of the mind was something really important to me. It was the fun part of the job was that, like, how do I create this world in your mind as a listener? Like that when you tune in. Yeah. When you tune into my show, you're coming somewhere else. Right. So think about how that same process happens when you're reading a great novel. You check out, your brain has this theater of the mind, imagination, this understanding of what this world is. It's something that you can't get in video because a video gives you everything. It's the full kimono, so to speak, right? But when I was reading, This Is Your Brain on Music, that book about the neuroscience of music, and what clicked was, when your brain listens to a new song, Jakob, it must instantly access every other song you've ever heard in an instant. It's trying to index, it's trying to look for familiar touch points so it knows where to index that new song in the library of the memory of your brain. And so, of course, it's tapping into nostalgia and memory, all these things. It just defaults. It's you have this feeling because that's what's actually happening as you're listening to a song. Similarly, your voice has a sound to it, and meaning it also has a frequency. There's a musical note to your voice. And so if I read a piece of text from you, any kind of text, I hear your voice in my head. And it occurred to me that if I want people to do what I want them to do in writing, because I do, all writing is about an objective, I should try and trigger memory and nostalgia and emotion through the writing and make sure that people hear the voice I want them to hear in their heads. Same idea. When you're able to last thing, those components, particularly memory, nostalgia, emotion, trigger trust. And trust is why we buy. Hey, hubby. So if you know that trust is why you buy, then this whole experiment is about that. Like every piece of content, this is why the human has to jump into the AI. Nobody trusts AI. I know that. And I don't expect you to. But it's why mistakes are so beautiful, right? When you send a mass newsletter out and you make a mistake, people love it. you're dying of embarrassment, and they're like, "This is amazing." They reply to you, right? It's the same idea. You want that little je ne sais quoi, that piece, the piece that the human fills in, right? Like in the theater of the mind. That's what I'm trying to get for you to do with the AI, because I know the value of it. 20 million listeners, right? Not just a few listeners. Like, my Uber power is turning listeners into fans, and I can give you the same power if you prescribe to my my mindset.
That's cool. I hear a lot of passion for the radio life. So I worked as a former journalist, or as a digital editor, and I was just curious why you left then the radio and did your own thing. But we also have a question, maybe how to produce AI content and scale for wider audiences by Hobby Toaster. I hope I pronounced your name the right way. Maybe we can jump first of this question and then.
Sure. Yeah, Hobby. So definitely get the replay and rewind, and we talk about this exactly. But I created an artificial intelligence platform that does this for you. So you upload any long form content, push a button, Lately will instantly atomize that long form content into dozens of social posts, and they will all be targeted towards the audience of your dreams, and they will be in your brand voice or your individual voice. And it's awesome.
Yeah. Also the concept that you also mentioned about recycling content pieces. So taking, for example, this interview and creating shorter snippets out of it, or quote cards or things like that you can use. And I think the thing, so many people are very good in creating the content, but they don't think so much about the distribution part. That's also some things. So that if you wake up and have this feeling, okay, what I'm going to post today, then you have a struggle, in my opinion. So you need some content plan in advance where you know, okay, on this days, on these times, I'm going to publish this A, B, C, so that you just relax and know, okay, the slots are filled to some degree. I think thinking about this is also important.
It's very important. I mean, one of the things we created was that you can literally push a button and our AI will take, let's say, all 40 posts it create for you, and it'll schedule them out for the next 2 months, say, one every 3 days. There's all kinds of different cadences you can choose from, and just push a button and it'll do it for you, for the reason that you said. But the second thing I wanted to talk about, which you also just touched on, was that it was a great way that you said it. Like, people will go through all this effort to create something wonderful, like a podcast or a video, or they'll have a conference, for God's sakes. And then what happens to all the content at the conference? Nothing happens to it, which is terrible, right? And it's
speakers, for example, not thinking about the video assets after the event. If you don't have the video assets, it's a lost event. Nobody will know and recognize.
That's right. And there's a mindset shift here, because they think that everything was about the moment, the event itself, but it's not about the event itself. There's all this after that. I call it post-mo, promo versus post-mo. So there's the post-mo is, like post-promo, I guess. It's like the long tail, right? So the long tail is the idea that if you think about trickle out marketing, if you think about all the little pieces, the sum of the little pieces, if you're able to leverage them, adds up to so much more than that one event, right? It's exponentially bigger. And that's part of the fandom as well. So when you can light up all those individuals and make them feel as you're creating a wave. Like, I can see it in my mind, right? You're creating your own kind of Grateful Dead type of, right? You're empowering everyone to participate, not just the main.
You're building a community, basically.
You're building a community, yeah. Like, and that was, and hopefully, Hobby, we answered your question. But the radio part, I'll give you the honest answer is, I was sexually harassed into such a hostile work environment that I I became partially disabled as a result of PTSD from that
Oh,
experience, and I had to get out because I couldn't function anymore, and it was crappy, you
yeah.
know. But life pushes you into, and hi, anybody, like, I was in pain for a long time and I wasn't listening to the pain. My body was trying to scream at me and say, this thing is not working. You got to find a new way, you know? And eventually I managed to find the new way. But to this day, so I don't type like you do. I can't type at all. I use Dragon Naturally Speaking voice activated software, another great AI. And I cheat. So I hear how I sound all day long, right? Because I'm always talking to my computer. And my team, God bless them, they've gotten to know that. So the Dragon doesn't make it doesn't make typos, doesn't make them, but it makes like sound alike mistakes. So it might say, instead of VC, venture capitalist, it might hear feces.
Yeah.
Right? Horrible. Oh my God. But yeah, so Hobby has another question. We can tackle it if you want to.
Yeah. By the way, thanks for sharing this insight. And,
Hopefully somebody else, we help somebody who's in pain and they'll listen to their pain and make a life shift.
I mean, yeah, it can be starting point for something greater, cooler. I mean, you started your own company, and we're speaking about lately. That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So is it a good idea to use human avatars in AI video content? I tried to issue a SEO course with human avatar as a teacher, but course has been accepted because of that.
Yeah, so the answer is I don't know, because AI is a pretty large kind of arena, and I only know a lot about one part of it, which is around the social media content creation for organic social media. So I can't tell you because I don't know anything about those algorithms and how it works. But my guess is yes. I mean, there's lots of marketing studies where I'm sure you've seen this too. Is like they'll show a picture of a bunch of text in like a cartoon or something, like a graphic of a cartoon, and then they'll show the same text with a graphic of a human. And like you can see the heat maps of when people click is like way more with the human. And by the way, it more than doubles when you get the human looking at the text on the page. Isn't that so interesting?
Mm.
So we're really drawn to a human over anything, any other kind of image. It's because we are narcissistic by nature. I mean, we all just part of the deal, right? We're looking for ourselves in everything.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I really understand Hobby's question, but yeah, I would see it the same way like you described it. So, if possible, stand in front of the camera and put the effort and create something with a real human. There are deepfake software that I also use for. I mean, there are companies out there. They just don't have the time, or they don't want to be in front of the camera. Then it's, I think, a good option, because creating videos with AI generated avatars is a good way to just create videos, because it's better to have 2 videos instead of having nothing. So that's my thing. When it comes to SEO, I'm not sure if I didn't really maybe you can be more specific about your question. What exactly you need of the what you want to create, for example, is it an online course that you want to create, or what is it exactly? I think this would be more helpful. Cool. Yes. Okay, cool. Very chatty today. That's cool.
Yeah. So
okay, so just follow up with the question if it's not very clear, and then we can try to answer it. Thank you, by the way, for the question.
Yeah, and Chris has a good point here, that about the frequencies of the different platforms. Like, this is something we get asked a lot about. It's so interesting to me. Like here we're focused on artificial intelligence and this amazing platform that can, essentially generate content, not out of nowhere, but it feels like that, even though that's not the case. It comes from a, really succinct place. But then the question is, well, how often do I publish? And why would I want so much? Why would I want to promote this podcast more than once? That we get that question a lot, and let alone 20 times. Oh my God. And I think people forget that, no one is just sitting by your feed waiting for the next thing you do. No one is ever. You have to get them with both quantity and quality. It has to be. So when I was, I'm 48, when I was doing the Walmart project, and even before that, I guess the number was 7 times. That was the old marketing adage. It was 7 times, right? You had to hear, watch, or read something 7 times for it to sink in. Now it's 12 to 14 times.
Also through COVID, so many people are sitting. They need more touch points.
That's right. Yes, and it's what's interesting, and I wonder if you've seen this in your work. It's not only the quantity, of course, it's the quality, but the variety is a big one. So the old way was same all the time. Have a Coke and a smile. Have a Coke and a smile. Have a Coke and a smile. However, we've learned that humans are, and I had to change my tune on this, by the way. Humans are multifaceted, and we want to be enlightened. We want to be inspired by all the things we're interested in. And we've found that because Lately is generating, let's say, 20 ways for you to promote this podcast, the same podcast, that the customers will actually engage with multiple pieces of content around the same, because it looks different, it feels different, it's highlighting a different section, so that cadence piece becomes more and more important for you to obviously to hit it. You want all the quantity out there, but then the variety is a big one, because most people are like, oh, well, I can just pull the headline and then that's it. And you're like, well, I mean, what the thing is, and I meant to touch on this earlier, the thing is, what is your objective? Like, if your objective is just push something out there for the sake of pushing it, and you don't care if there's any result whatsoever, then by all means do that, right? But if you actually, and I said this previously today, what I am always trying to get people to do something for me. That's what, and my poor team will be like, yes, she's so annoying, because I'm always thinking about like, how do I make you do this thing faster, better, at all, like whatever it is. Like, all communication is about getting somebody to do something, all of it. You want your kid to do their homework, you want your husband to take out the trash, you're trying to get the job, you're trying to make the sale, whatever it is. And so if you back into social like the exact same way, so it's like, my objective is click or share. Those are the only 2 that I could possibly have in this game that we're talking about, organic social. So is the content I'm creating going to make you do either of those things? If what you write is check out my podcast with, somebody, and that's not going to happen. There's nothing in it for me. I don't find any value there. Why would I share it and why would I click it? But instead, if you're like, in just 60 seconds, learn how to get a 240% increased engagement in a way that'll make your jaw drop off the floor. I don't know, that seems interesting to me, right? That's some reshare and a click right there.
Is there a limitation of the social media? So are there social media channels that you have on Lately? So I read Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. So what is, for example, with Instagram and TikTok?
Yeah, so as far as I know, the only people that have access to TikTok is Hootsuite. So we don't yet, but we do integrate with Hootsuite. But yeah, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and both company pages on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn. Yes. And then somebody on my team can correct me if I'm wrong. I know we have some integration with YouTube. I don't know what it is, but we definitely do as well.
Yeah, I saw it on the enterprise.
Yes.
Or one of the bigger plans where you integrate YouTube. I just read that one.
Bless your heart. You're so thorough. So yes, the Twitter is a place that works. We see most of our customers flocking to when they're using Lately, because it does withstand quantity so well, and they can easily test there and see that. So it's pretty handy to like just have a channel that can, again, like tolerate, so much. On LinkedIn, it's one a day. So you have to be a little more judicious about does everybody know that you don't post more than once a day on LinkedIn? Because the algorithm dings you, which is stupid, but it's how they roll. For us, we can, the mini videos can be published on Instagram, which is great. We find that our customers who are heavy, just picture based, like if all they do are producing pictures of the food, for example, that they create, but there's no long form content to go with it. There's no like interesting discussion about, thank you, Kristen. There's no interesting discussion about, let's say, how to make the finest pizza dough in the world, and we've tested it in 50 countries. Like, if there's a blog about that, you are winning. But I can't make social posts out of an image because there's no text there. Everything has to be boiled down to text, at least in a transcription at some point, to give the AI, a jumping off point.
How did you, so DALL-E 2 was big in the media a couple of weeks ago, so was that a big thing where you get excited and thought that, well, maybe we can also use image generation with it lately, or is this not on the agenda?
It's not on the agenda, but like do one thing really well first and then move on to the next thing. And okay. It goes with marketing too, right?
Fair enough.
Right. Yeah. So let's get there. Let's make sure that, I got investors who want to see what I want to see, which is, results. Exactly. Let's make sure the whole world is using Lately as it is first, and then we can deliver them some more stuff.
Yeah. Maybe also not a tough question, but I'm just curious how Twitter, because you mentioned several times Twitter, how it changed through Elon Musk.
Oh, that guy, man. Oh my God.
Yeah,
it's a good question. I mean, we're watching it just like everybody else is. Right now, he's not affecting my business, but I mean, there are much bigger companies for me that if something happened there, they would all freak out. So I'm not really worried about it. I mean, eventually, not all of these. I imagine everything ebbs and flows. Everything has a birth and a death. So one or more of these platforms will eventually go away or evolve. It has to happen. And then we, the royal we of all humanity, will evolve too. We'll find another one, and our job at Lately is just to, provide you with the best experience that we possibly can and be where the fish are jumping, and the fish are still jumping on Twitter, despite Elon and his madness.
Okay, good answer. So, Hobby came back to us. Is it a good idea to use human avatar as a teacher?
Oh, I see. Yeah, I don't know, Hobby. I honestly don't know the answer to that question because it's not my space. But I'm sure there's lots of data on it. I mean, every child I know has an iPad, and I mean, I've learned my 12s times tables playing Centipede, the arcade game, all through the 80s, because every 12,000 points you got a free man. So, I mean, I think that any way you can creatively affect education, go for it. Yeah.
Yes, Hobby, go for it. Just do it. Share the videos also in the comment section so that we can check it out. As long as you don't violate any feelings of other people or any rights of other people, just to make sure. Okay, cool. I also read the vision statement on Lately, but I'm
so nice of you. Thanks. No one reads that shit. I mean,
Yeah, I did just my homework. But could you describe it on your own words? So, what is the plans? What do you want to? What would be the ideal scenario for the next 2-3 years, in your opinion?
So Kristen was actually just reminding me about that I sometimes need to do a better job of taking my own medicine today, and that mission is a good example of it. we treat our so this idea of humans and AI together pervades throughout everything. It's how we are as a tiny company and how we treat each other. It's how we treat our customers before you're our customer and afterwards. The motto is make a fan, not a sale. I mean, we want the sale, but make a fan and the sale, I should say. But make the fan first, right? Because not a day has passed in 3 years, Jakob, where someone on social hasn't written about us spontaneously every single day. We create fans, and we leverage that social proof, obviously. But it has to start within. So it's my job to make a fan of each member of my team. Sometimes I'm good at it. Sometimes I'm human and I'm not very good at it. Usually I apologize, or usually they tolerate me for some reason, which I really appreciate. Because we ebb and flow. I mean, this journey that we are on as a team is a startup journey, and that is much different than just having a nice business. Like, I've had that already, and I know what that's like. But it's incredibly stressful, and I have to surround myself with people who buy in to that and who will support. It's more than just support. I mean, like, I will fall over without these people. They're literally holding me up, them and my acupuncturist, chiropractor, trainer, therapist, tequila, like all these other, medical things we have. So what you read is about that, like creating a community. This is my Uber power. Can I create a community? Can I create a different place to work where I worked at a couple of very large corporations, and I remember what it was like to really hate going to work. Right? That's a bad feeling. And I don't want to create that place. And I hope I'm not, and if I am, I apologize. I've certainly bullied people before. I've certainly been so frustrated with them that I take it out of them. And then it's hard because as a leader, there's sometimes you have to be sometimes you have to set examples. You just do, you can't always be a pushover. But other times you have to ask for help, and you have to create an environment where people want to help you. I was reading some LinkedIn post where somebody said, when the boss comes in the room and her boss came in, was like, oh, here's this problem. How are we going to fix it? And she's like, by we, you mean you? This person was not involved. And I thought, that sounds like hell to me. If I can't ask these people, I spend more time with these people than anyone in the world, more time than with my husband. Literally, if I can't ask them to help me and to know that they will, then what the fuck? Why am I doing this? But that's what that mission is about. And when I wrote it, I thought, I'm not being touchy-feeling or anything, but I thought, can I create a place where there's this kind of respect? I have employees that have come to me from other places that they've been just shit on from wherever they are. And you can see it crushes people. And I've had to say to people before, the worst mistake you could possibly make is still going to be great. That's why I hire you specifically, because I know that about you. And that's what people did for me. My Aunt Jeanette and Candace Leopold, these two women that I worked for at different places, both of them let me fail. They knew that the worst thing I could do was still be great. And they gave me the ability to do that. And they weren't embarrassed, I'm embarrassed now because I remember some of those failings. So yeah, I mean, I think you can see how this is all connected, right? How we are together is how we treat our targets, how we treat our customers. It's how our AI is designed to work. Human. It's all about, I mean, the nice guy doesn't necessarily win, but the nice, smart woman certainly does.
Like that. How big is your team? Just curious. Because I'm already connected with some of team members, and they were also super helpful with this live broadcasting.
Yeah, they're really nice. There's 7 full-time and 6 part-time.
Okay. And all in the US, or where are they?
No, we've got 4 Canadians now, and we've got 1 in London. Do you live in London, Vanessa? I think she's in England or London. I know. Well, they're 2. London is in England, but I don't know what town she lives in. So yeah, and then we have people across the country as well, Denver and New York and Boston and Jersey. So it's we've never worked in an office ever.
Completely remote.
Yeah, like we've been to accelerators where like you come together for a short time, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's kind of nice in that way because everybody works extra hard to remember that we're humans or remind each other that we are, because we're not together. And you have to, our Slack is where we live. We joke on Slack, we share pictures about our events going on in our personal lives. Everybody follows each other on social. Like you have to do that to remember that. And I'm guilty of this a lot too. Like there's a human on the other side of that Slack message that's driving you up a wall, right? So you have to just sit back, go to social, see what's happening in that person's life and be like, oh, okay, they're just maybe having a tough day because we're dealing with this or whatever, back off and, let it go.
Yeah, I think especially for remote teams, that's important. I don't believe in this. So there's a generation in Germany or worldwide where they think you have to meet the guys in the room. But I think that's a mindset shift, like the one that you mentioned already. That there's this control thing in your head, and you have to. But yeah, I don't know. It's maybe a generational thing. But I'm also full in this remote thing because I can connect with people like you. I mean, how big are the chances that I could interview you on some conference or something?
Yeah.
I mean, that's very hard, but you have to find other ways how to connect with people through the socials and also do other things like physical presence or something. I don't know, to combine the digital world with the real world to some degree.
You're right. I mean, we usually have an offsite once a year where we all get together, which is super fun, and we haven't because of COVID, and that's been kind of weird. But it does make a huge difference. It's the difference between, like I noticed it afterwards. Everybody is much closer, afterwards, which is great. And so I think there has to be some, general contact, but I feel like otherwise being in an office is a huge distraction and a time waster. That's how I personally feel. I don't want someone to come bug me. I mean, I've got enough distractions here. I'm just trying to get my damn list done, the never ending list, besides because I wear a microphone all day, I can't be in an open space. I have to be in a private room. So I'm in my own room and I can't talk to you anyways, so, but anyways, we got to probably wrap it up here. I'm guessing.
Yes.
Any other burning AI related questions? Or
so far, I'm just curious to see the demo next week. And
oh, cool! Who are you meeting with, Chris?
Yes, Chris. So
awesome. Chris is so nice. Chris was also in radio or he's still in online radio, but he's got a melty voice. So watch out.
Okay, we'll see. Other than that, so where should people go when they want to get in touch with you or with Lately?
Thank you so much, by the way, Jakob. So Lately is www.lately.ai, and I'm at Lately AI Kately on Twitter. And please let me know you heard me here with Jakob. You can find me on LinkedIn too, but if you don't tell me you heard me here, then I'm gonna not know who you are when you're asking me for a request. And then, oh my God, someone just taught me this phrase. Like, does this happen to you? Someone will connect with you. They'll ask you for an action, you accept, and then they're selling you right away. They like just dump right into it. And Vanessa, my teammate today, told me that's called pitch slapping.
Pitch slapping.
Pitch slapping that. So like they're pitching you, right, without even knowing you. So you accept request, and you're not accepting a request because you want them to sell to you. You think, well, maybe I'll get to know this person. It seems like we have friends.
Maybe nice.
Yeah, and then the first thing they do is they pitch you some stupid sales thing.
I get 60% of the contacts are doing this on LinkedIn.
Yeah, constant. They don't know that you got to break the damn ice. Like,
Yeah.
I know
Like
that you want something from me. Like, of course. Why are you asking me to connect? I know it's coming eventually, but Jesus Christ, work up to it.
I mean, doing these live shows is just way more better way to introduce or get in contact with somebody.
Yes.
And then afterwards pitching than just directly pitching. I mean, no way that I'm going to do this, but yeah.
It's amazing. They don't know. I wonder, how do those people have dates? Like, how do they? Don't they know?
Well, that's another whole
Another show.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jakob, thank you so much. I love meeting you today. I really did.
Thank you for your time. It was really cool, and I'm curious about the next steps and seeing also the demo. And yeah, hopefully to hear from you soon again, maybe in another session, maybe deepen in some areas of lately. Maybe I have another questions when I also use it myself. Maybe we will see.
Sounds great.
Oh, cool. Christians also enjoyed the session. Thank you guys for your comments. And yeah, see you on the next episode. Thank you and bye-bye.